Pull weeds every day. Yo, what's up everybody? This is Junior Chicken. Now that I've completed my favorite fire types and my favorite water types countdowns, it's only fair that I complete the starter type trinity and give you my favorite grass type Pokemon. Grass types are fairly common within the Pokemon games, and you'll usually find them in the grassy patches that you travel through while on your journey. Grass types often have designs based off of plants or animals that live in areas with high vegetation, such as forests, woods, and jungles. Grass type attacks often involve using physical plants to attack enemies or harnessing organic energy. There's also plenty of grass type status moves that allow you to recover health or weaken your opponents with status afflictions or stat debuffs. Unfortunately though, the grass type has 5 weaknesses of fire, ice, poison, bug, and flying, and their attacks don't do much to dragon or steel types. However, grass types do have a great advantage against water, ground, and rock types, which are fairly common in the Pokemon games. They also are strong against electric attacks. While I'm not quite as fond of grass types as I used to be, there are still plenty of grass types that I love that made it on the list. Once again, these are my favorite grass types based on their stat distributions, abilities, cool move pools, design and concepts, and other things such as experience and Pokedex entries. And as I've stated before, these are no Mega Evolutions, fully evolved, and only based on the main series games. So, let's get to it with my top 10 favorite grass Pokemon. There are plenty of grass-type Pokemon that have been paired up with a poison type. This is fairly helpful since it exchanges 2 weaknesses for 1 and provides better status-afflicting options. Now, I could have gone with Venusaur as the popular pick, but I decided to go the off-beaten path with Victory Bell. Victory Bell's concept is based off of tropical pitcher plants. These things are pretty interesting since they lure their prey in to their mouths and then dissolve them with acid. And while Victory Bell doesn't really play with acid a lot in its moveset, it does have some pretty high attack and special attack with some frail physical defense. However, it can also be a great sun sweeper since its ability Chlorophyll doubles its speed in the sunlight. It also has plenty of powerful grass attacks including Leaf Blade, Leaf Storm, Energy Ball, and Grass Knot. Unfortunately, it doesn't have many poison options besides Sludge Bomb and Belch. It, however, can learn Weather Ball, which allows it to take care of ice types in the sun, and while it can't learn Sucker Punch anymore, it can learn Knock Off, taking care of psychic types that hold Nido. Other than normal type moves though, that's about it. It does have some interesting setup and support options, such as Encore, Swords Dance, Stockpile, Substitute, and Synthesis. Kinda sucks that you need a Leaf Stone in order to get this piece, but it's well worth it if you want a terrifying teammate who will melt your enemies, bones and all. And you thought Victory Bell's concept was scary? Wait till you get a hold of Parasect. Now, a lot of you are going to be scratching your heads, wondering why I'd put such a weak Pokemon on this countdown. I will admit, the 405 base stat total is pretty low, but at least in its attack, defense, and special defense, it's not too bad. Heck, you could probably knock out a few things with Swords Dance. I won't defend its typing though. Bug, Grass, those types are way too similar. It will easily die to 2 of its biggest weaknesses and it's actually weak to rocks. But it does have some pretty helpful abilities. Dry Skin allows it to be a great rain-based Pokemon, since it can recover health in the rain and when it gets hit by water attacks. There's also Effect Spore, which screws over enemies that touch Parasect, either putting them to sleep, poisoning them, or paralyzing them. And while you will need to take it to a move tutor to learn its only good grass-type attack, that being Seed Bomb, it can learn X-Scissor and Cross Poison, giving it a stab move and some more type coverage. Heck, it's got some pretty good TMs under its belt too, including Brick Break to take care of ice types, Dig to take care of fire, poison, and rock types, and Aerial Ace to take care of other bug types. As expected, it can learn some Status Affliction moves like Stun Spore, Spore, and Poison Powder, and support moves like Rage Powder, Aromatherapy, and Synthesis. Now let's get back to the main concept. First time you see Parasect, you'll be like, okay, it's a crab-like bug wearing a mushroom on its back. But then you read the Pokédex entries that say that the mushroom is actually a parasite that's taking over the bug as a host. And you see that Parasect's eyes have completely glazed over compared to Para's, its pre-evolution, and you realize this thing is a zombie. Yeah, Ophiocordyceps have actually become a concept in Pokemon. If there's ever a Poké-apocalypse, you can probably bet that this species of Pokemon is responsible for it. Oh boy, Michael from MNJTV is gonna kill me for putting Sceptile this low on the countdown, but just let me explain please before you start pouncing on me. I will admit, Sceptile is probably the best designed Pokemon out of all the grass types. It's a slick looking lizard decorated appropriately in leaves. It's also got pretty good base stat total being expected from a fully evolved starter. It may have some weak defense, but its special attack is pretty good and has blistering speed, which can only go higher if he gets the Unburden ability. This allows Sceptile to increase its speed once it uses an item. However, the biggest problem with Sceptile is its move pool. The majority of his attacks are physical, even though his special attack is just so much better. Sure, he got some powerful special grass type attacks like Leaf Storm, Energy Ball, Solar Beam, and the lethal Frenzy Plant, but other than that there isn't much type coverage. You got Focus Blast through TM, Hyper Beam through TM, Dragon Pulse through the Move Tutor, and of course Hidden Power, but that's about it. Sure, Sceptile can learn Swords Dance, but I'd rather build off what it has going for it instead of building off something else that could leave it as a potential bait for another Pokemon. Still, Sceptile is a pretty good special sweeper to have on your team, and the moves it can use still have plenty of power to make any Pokemon regret walking into the jungle. It's kind of weird having Meganium and Sceptile back to back on this countdown. Both Sceptile and Meganium are pure grass types, but both operate very differently. While Sceptile is a special sweeper, Meganium is much more of a defensive support Pokemon. It has very similar stats to Blastoise in that its defense and special defense are its best stats. Unlike Blastoise though, Meganium better accommodates the role of a defensive support through its move pool. Synthesis, Aromatherapy, and Toxic, there are plenty of options. You can outlast your opponents by sapping away at their health, taking their hits, and recovering health accordingly. On top of the fact that there's no emphasis on a specific attack category, you can teach Meganium a much wider range of attacks than Sceptile. Of course, you got physical and special grass type attacks. You've also got Earthquake, Dragon Tail, Outrage, and Iron Tail. You can even breed Meganium to get Ancient Power, taking care of Fire, Ice, Flying, and Bug types, while also giving it a chance to boost all of its stats in one turn. Sure, you got Swords Dance if you want to make Meganium an offensive tank, but really it's meant to be a supportive Pokemon that helps the whole team out, especially in the sun thanks to its ability Leafdoll. Cradily overall is a very weird Pokemon. It's got a very weird design with a long neck, eyes where its mouth is supposed to be, and phallic-shaped tentacles. It's got a weird typing with rock and grass, giving it a weird set of weaknesses, two of which can be covered with rock-type stab moves. And it's got a very weird concept, being a fossilized plant that's known to spray its victims in acid. Its 495 base stat total may not be anything too special, but it does have good special defense and decent defense, making it fairly durable. Sure, it has slow speed, but I don't really care about that. It also has an awesome hidden ability in Storm Drain, allowing it to drink up water attacks to increase its special attack stat. It also has a wide range of support and setup moves to outlast its enemies. ingrain, recover, stockpile, amnesia, and it can also screw over enemies with toxic, confuse ray, and stealth rocks. From the special grass type moves including Giga Drain for health recovery, to ancient power for a special rock type attack, or just the physical rock type attacks you can learn from TMs. It can also learn Earthquake, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, etc. Of course, you can also play the risk of teaching this Swords Dance or boosting it enough with Storm Drain that it can become an offensive tank, but Cradily is just that type of Pokemon that likes to wall others, taking hits like it's no problem and then returning something nasty to the opponent. Well, what do you know? After the second acid-based Pokemon comes the second mushroom-based Pokemon in Breloom. Thankfully, Breloom is not a zombie. It's a mushroom-based Pokemon with kangaroo-like characteristics. It probably would be my favorite fighting type in the Hoenn region if it wasn't overshadowed by Blaziken. Or if it had better stats for that matter. 460 base stat totals aren't too bad, especially since this Pokemon has a pretty high attack stat, making it a hard-hitting physical Pokemon, but it doesn't have good HP and special defense. And while Grass and Fighting is an interesting type combination, it does increase the weakness count to 6, and gives Breloom a deadly weakness against flying type attacks. Thankfully, it does have some pretty awesome abilities. Like Parasect, it can have Effect Spore, or my personal favorite, Poison Heal. Instead of taking damage from poison, you actually recover health from poison, making Toxic Orb a pretty ideal item for Breloom to hold. You've also got the always popular hidden ability, Technician. Like other grass type Pokemon, it can learn Leech Seed and Spore moves to screw over enemies, but you're probably better off teaching it physical attacks because it's such a hard hitter. And while it lacks in physical grass type moves, it does make up for in its wide range of fighting type attacks. It's got Force Palm, Sky Uppercut, Dynamic Punch, Mach Punch for priority, Focus Punch, and Drain Punch for added health recovery on top of Poison Heal. I just wish Breloom had some more type coverage. I mean, it does have some pretty good normal type attacks, and it can learn Rock TMs. But other than that, it just has Thunder Punch, Iron Tail, and Fling. I say Fling in this situation because throwing a Toxic Orb at your enemies would hurt quite a bit. Regardless, Breloom is still a hard-hitting Pokemon that really knows how to deal damage to its enemies. I remember looking back at Tangela when playing Pokemon Stadium 2 and thinking it was a water type because it was completely blue. Turns out it's actually a grass type. I guess it's supposed to be a tangled bunch of vines, but it looks much more like a grass type and it's shiny. But we're of course talking about fully evolved forms, so let's move on to Tangrowth. In terms of base stat distributions, I think Tangrowth has probably the weirdest. It's got great HP, attack, defense, and special attack, but poor special defense and speed. It can also get one of two sun-based abilities that I mentioned earlier, those being Chlorophyll and Leaf Guard, but it also has the hidden ability of Regenerator. So just like Slowbro and Slowking, it can actually regenerate its health when it's withdrawn from the field. It can be used to stall out with moves like Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, Ingrain, Toxic, and of course Leech Seed. For special attacks, it has plenty of grass type attacks including Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Grass Knot, and Solar Beam, as well as Focus Blast, Sludge Bomb, Shock Wave for infinite accuracy, and Ancient Power to cover a lot of its weaknesses. In fact, you need to teach it Ancient Power in order to evolve it from Tangela, which is pretty interesting. Of course, it's also got pretty good physical attacks including the powerful Power Whip, Aerial Ace, Earthquake, Rock Tomb and Rock Slide, Poison Jab, and Knockoff from the Move Tutor. I guess what I like most about Tangrowth is just how versatile it is. It can be a supportive wall, it can be a physical attacker, or a special attacker. Who knew that a lot could come out of this tangled bunch of vines? Oh, why did I have to say vine? It just reminded me that the Vine app is being closed in about a month or two. Rest in peace, Vine. Generation 6 gave us some pretty interesting grass and ghost type Pokemon. Both are pretty Halloween based. We got the Jack-o'-lantern Gourgeist and the haunted tree Trevenant. But the question now is, which one will I pick for this countdown? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I picked the creepier one. In my eyes, Trevenant has more of the scare factor. I don't think I even have to mention how its pre-evolution Phantom has some pretty sad Pokedex entries. Trevenant, on the other hand, is a terrifying beast that traps humans who harm the forest. Ghost and Grass is also an intriguing type combination. Not only do you have Synthesis and Leech Seed for health recovery, but you've also got Ghost-type trickery moves like Curse, Destiny Bond, Confuse Ray, and Will-O-Wisp. I know that last one is Fire-type, but most Ghosts use Will-O-Wisp anyway, so let's go with it. But one thing you shouldn't forget is that Trevenant has a pretty solid attack stat, although it has slow speed. Now you might ask why I ultimately choose Trevenant over Gourgeist, especially when Gourgeist has a higher base stat total, has better defense, and a more useful signature move in Trick or Treat. First off, Trevenant just has a more useful move pool. It has access to Power Up Punch and Drain Punch, allowing it to take care of Dark types, as well as Ground TMs. Phantom Force, which is basically a weaker version of Shadow Force, and it can learn Wood Hammer and Horn Leech, which is basically a physical Giga Drain. And second, it has a crazy hidden ability in Harvest. With Harvest, Trevenant can reproduce a berry that it was previously holding. Two popular options in competitive battling is having Trevenant either hold a citrus berry for a steady source of health recovery, or a lum berry. Not only can he constantly heal from status afflictions, but if you teach Trevenant Rest, he can actually heal to full health and then get right back in the battle without losing any turns. That is very helpful. There are probably plenty of options that have yet to be explored though. Say no to forest fires, people, or else Trevenant will make you suffer. Cortera! Honestly, if Infernape wasn't a fighting type, this guy would have been my starter in Pokemon Platinum. I mean, it's a giant rugged turtle with an ecosystem growing on its back. Not quite as cool as Blastoise, but still pretty high up there. It's also got some pretty solid stats with high defense and attack, making it a great physical tank. Sure, it has slow speed, once again, I don't care. Besides, you can teach it Rock Polish to get rid of that. It also has the hidden ability Shell Armor, protecting it from critical hits. Yes, its grass ground typing makes it extra weak to ice, but how's that any different from a lot of dragons out there? There's also a good amount of moves that Torterra can learn that build up its bulk. It can learn Curse to increase its attack and defense while lowering its speed. It can learn Synthesis for health recovery, and you can breed it to get Amnesia or Stockpile, giving you a way to boost your special defense. Being a ground type, you can expect it to use Earthquake to wreck a lot of the opponents on the field, but it can also learn Wood Hammer, which does cause recoil, and Seed Bomb through the move tutor. That's probably your best option. And of course, Rock TMs. That should give you enough type coverage for attacks. But you can also teach it Iron Head, Iron Tail, and Outrage through the move tutor. Torterra is just a really solid Pokemon with an interesting type, strong stats, and great type coverage with its attacks. Unfortunately though, the type coverage isn't as big as I'd like it to be. Number 1, on the other hand, I feel like when most countdown artists make a countdown, their number 1 entry is meant to prove a point. Coreg made top 10 least favorite boss fights to prove how good Gate would have been as a villain if his boss fight wasn't that bad. And Rabbid Luigi made top 5 most disappointing video games to throw some more dirt at mighty number 9. The point I'm trying to make in this countdown is show Chestnut some respect, people! People need to stop sleeping on Chestnut and see him for what he really is. He's a juggernaut, bitch! He's got similar stats to Torterra except more physical defense. He's just as great of a physical tank, and with Bulletproof as a hidden ability, it can block projectile moves, shutting down Pokemon that could have easily destroyed it in other circumstances. And yeah, I love the grass fighting type, so what if it's 4 times weak to flying? Give Chestnut enough bulk ups, he'll be able to take a flying type attack and return with something super devastating. It's got a signature move, Spiky Shield, which is like Protect, except it damages opponents that try to make physical contact. I know a lot of competitive people like to build off of Chestnut using Spiky Shield, Leech Seed, and some other things and make it a physical wall. But trust me when I say Chestnut has a huge array of physical attacks to tap into, and you'd be a fool not to try them out. Of course, he's got Needle Arm, Seed Bomb, and Wood Hammer for physical grass type attacks, and plenty of physical fighting type attacks in Hammer Arm, Power Up Punch, and even Drain Punch through the move tutor. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, my friend. It can learn Pin Missile, Payback, and Shadow Claw to take care of Psychic types. It can even learn Rock TMs and Ground TMs to take care of even more weaknesses. It also learns Gyro Ball to utilize its slow speed, Poison Jab, and Aerial Ace to take care of other grass types. Doesn't just stop there either. Move tutors can teach it Thunder Punch, Dual Chop, Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, and Iron Tail. It's ridiculous the amount of physical attacks Chestnut can learn. Heck, throw in Hone Claws or Belly Drum to add to its ridiculous offensive power. There's a reason why the Pokedex entries say it flips tanks and survives Bomb Blast. It is a super strong Pokemon, a physical wall that has a wide range of attacks to use and can easily take down opponents with its sheer force. It is by far my favorite starter Pokemon, unless Decidueye has anything to say about that.
Like I said, Chestnut's not going, he's not sweet at all. +2 Dragonite Outrage, tanks it easy. Liz with 12 HP, but I'm going to be back up to a decent amount once again.
Thank you for watching this Pokemon Countdown. You can check out the other two right here in the end screen. Next up is my favorite electric type Pokemon, so hope you're ready for that. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you later with my next video.